Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
With Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Hines. The Rangers and the White Sox tonight. We'll have that for you on Double T 97.3. It gets underway at 6:30, and then balls and strikes at 7:10 tonight. And that game will come to you from Chicago, where the White Sox are 70 games under 500. The Rangers are 11 under 500 at 60 and 71. Yesterday was an off day for the Rangers, so Josh Young took advantage of that and went to Chicago and watched the Tigers and the I think it was it Detroit or was it Chicago?
It was the White Sox and the Tigers.
Yeah, and that was it was in Chicago. So Josh went to the game and watched Jace play. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And saw him get 2 hits off of his former teammate Davis Martin.
How about that?
Were Josh and Davis on the same team?
I think so. Yeah.
I thought they missed each other. I mean, I'm not arguing with you.
They met you. I think so.
Huh.
Yeah, I think they crossed over. No, you know what? You might be right. Was Davis's... I'd have to look it up. They're both Red Raiders. Let's just say that.
Yeah, they're all friends.
Yeah.
Jace went 2 for 5, scored a run, had an RBI, and had a strikeout yesterday for the Tigers in that 6-3 win over Chicago. You confident that the White Sox are going to break the all-time record for losses in a season?
No, that's not what we're talking about. All season long, it's 40 wins. 40 wins, they don't run into that problem.
Okay.
40 wins.
Can they get 9 more?
God, I don't know. Davis Martin desperately needs some run support.
I mean, I hate to tell you this.
He can't do it by himself.
There's 31 games left.
There are.
Okay.
They need 9 wins.
So now you're talking about going 9 and 21,
which would
22.
be their best stretch all season long.
Yeah, 9 and 22. They almost have to go 500 to avoid that.
No, they almost have to go 1/3.
Yeah, I said, well, yeah. I mean, they're.
You said 500.
I did 500. I said they almost have to.
If they had 31 games left and if they had to go 500,
it'd be 15.
15 and a half
right.
and 15 and a half. They need 9 wins.
Yeah, they need 9. Yeah, so it's not.
So 9 out of 31 is closer to 1 out of 3.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, you're right about that. It's not a strong suit, as we well know. We get this from our friend Robert. In my 2nd grade class at Thomas Manor in El Paso, there were 7 Roberts, including myself. 7 Roberts.
How many in the class? Goodness.
I'm going to guess about 27, 28.
That poor teacher.
Yeah. Somebody says this. There was a Chuck E. Cheese. I never worked at Chuck E. Cheese. In fact, I never worked at a restaurant. The only place I worked that would have been close to a restaurant would have been Baskin Robbins, but that doesn't count as a restaurant. You're scooping ice cream, making banana splits, making sundaes, making sodas, making milkshakes. You're just making people happy.
There's a Chuck E. doll.
Yeah, I would suggest
I would not purchase it if I were
everybody who wants in their life work food service.
Yeah, I think that's probably well said.
Yeah.
I think that's probably well said.
I would also tell you the mental that it takes being able to multitask and to please people and all that of being a server, a waiter, a waitress. It would be good for any job you're going to have after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll have High School Fan Zone tonight on the air. We'll have coaches from Monterey and Lubbock High in to visit. That'll be from 7 to 8 tonight on 100.7 The Score. And then tomorrow, it's Friendship, Cooper, and Liberty all taking part in the High School Fan Zone between 7 and 8:30. And Liberty getting ready to play its first varsity football game on Friday night, and we will have that for you as they play at New Home. At New Home on Friday at 6:30. So that's coming up. We'll have that on 93.1 Yes FM. So it's 93.1 Yes FM for Liberty Sports on Friday night. They play over at New Home. Okay, so be looking for that. That's among the games that we're going to have for you on the air on Friday night. So looking forward to some Friday night football. And then the Saturday football as well. Somebody else agrees with you, Jamie. They say, I personally believe that everyone should have to work at a fast food restaurant at least a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
At least a month. This from yesterday's news. And I'm curious if the Big 12 is going to announce something similar to this. The Big 10 announced its tiebreakers for the upcoming season. They'll have 18 teams. And the top two will meet each other in the league championship game. They're not going to have divisions any longer since they've added now USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon to the mix.
Big 12 has already done this.
They've already announced it?
Well, I don't know that there was an announcement, but there's the tie breaks are out there.
Okay.
And we talked about them. Choice and I talked about them last week because our predictions had like 5 teams finish in second place in the Big 12 conference.
I guess I just hadn't seen the Big 12 ones. So they're probably similar to what the Big 10s are then. Head-to-head matchups. Then if that doesn't work, tied teams will be compared based on records against all common opponents. If that doesn't work, then they'll be compared based on a record against common opponents with their best conference record and proceeding through the conference common opponents based on the order of finish.
We just need to know when they play the hokey pokey.
And now, for a morning drive update.
When
Davis Martin, Josh Young on the same team in 2017 and 2018.
Oh, thank you for interrupting my conversation. I think that they're all very confusing, all the Big 12 and Big 10 rules.
Yeah.
And it's just like you get to those scenarios and you got to like take it one little baby step at a time or you'll be really confused. Yeah.
Okay. Since we had already discussed that, and then it's need to revitalize the memory bank.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
For this day in sports history, with that, on this 27th day of August, 2024, is Jeff McGuire.
Starting us off in 1911, back when the White Sox were good, pitcher Ed Walsh no-hits the Boston Red Sox 5-0 at White Sox Park.
I enjoyed that little jab at your own team there.
Yeah.
1922, official marathon runner of the morning drive, Paavo Nurmi runs a world record 3,000 meter in 8 minutes, 28.6 seconds. 1937, Brooklyn Dodgers Fred Frankhouse no-hit Cincinnati 5-0 in 7 2/3 innings.
Was there rain?
I'm guessing there was rain because it was called at that point.
Okay.
Or darkness because this was 37 before that.
Sure.
So either one of those could have happened. 1938, New York Yankees pitcher Monte Pearson no-hits Cleveland Indians 13-0. Joe DiMaggio hits 3 triples in the win.
Wow.
In one game. Goodness.
I know. It's hard to get one, right?
1978, Cincinnati Reds Joe Morgan is the first to hit 200 home runs and have 500 stolen bases. 1982, Ricky Henderson steals number 119 of the season, breaking Lou Brock's mark. 1992, Mets trade David Cone to Toronto for Jeff Kent and Ryan Thompson.
David Cone on the Sunday night broadcast is so much better than Eduardo Perez. I mean, it is not even close. I have no idea why they keep Eduardo Perez on. I mean, it was bad enough without Cone, and now Cone just makes him look worse because he's so much better.
You know, it's funny. I saw Eduardo Perez doing a report about Sunday Night Baseball over the weekend, and I thought of you, and I was like, there he is, Eduardo Perez.
He is one of the few that I just I have a hard time watching a game when he's calling it. I think there's really good ones, and I think there's average ones, and most of them you turn on the TV or a national radio broadcast, and they're really, really good. Okay? I just don't think he's very smart. He may be a great baseball guy, I just don't think he's very smart.
And in 2017, former Red Raider A.J. Ramos gets a rare 2-inning save for the Mets in a 6-5 win over the Nationals. It would be his 25th save of the year. Happy National Pot de Crème Day.
What?
Who?
Pot de crème. It's basically pots de crème. It's a small little thing, like a small little like casserole handheld style dish, right? And it's basically a custard that is made with eggs, egg whites, cream, milk, and then like a flavoring added, so chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, etc., etc. It's a dessert.
Yeah,
but it's a French dessert, so it's pot de crème.
Oui, oui.
Exactly.
Are you in or out on that?
Oh yeah, I tried this.
I think I could try
100%.
it. Yeah.
You lost me at eggs and egg whites.
Never making you cookies again, because that's part of the things you need to make cookies.
Yeah, I can handle some of
And
that.
bacon and eggs, you need those for that too.
Sure.
So no bacon and eggs for chocolate.
I know. It's just sometimes just the egg. I don't know. It just didn't sound good.
I think it was more the egg white than the eggs.
Yeah.
That bothered Chuck.
Yeah.
I can handle.
Wasn't
egg
it
white.
just a few days ago we were talking about lemon meringue pie? Mm-hmm. What do you think meringue is?
I don't necessarily have to see how everything's made. Right?
I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. Would love to do this, but for obvious reasons we can't. Happy birthday, Andre Emmett. Unfortunately, 2019. Aaron Paul, 45, by the way. Patrick J. Adams is 42. Tom Ford is 63. Jim Tomei is 54. Buddy Bell, 73. Mike Maddox, Rangers pitching coach, is 63. Darren McFadden, 37. And a guy that it's just easier to root for that he's not wearing orange anymore. Mac Brown, 73.
73.
73.
I think if you'd have asked me, I feel like he should be older than that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Just because,
if you had told me he was 78, I wouldn't have been shocked.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have said like he's 84 or anything.
No, I agree.
And on this day in 1883, one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history occurs on Krakatoa, a small uninhabited volcanic island east of Sumatra and west of Java. On August 27th, 1883, it was heard 3,000 miles away and believed to have produced the loudest sound in human history. The explosion threw 5 cubic miles of earth 50 miles into the air. It created a 120-foot tsunami and killed 36,000 people. This just in, don't tick off Mother Nature.
And what year was that?
1883. And that is this day in sports history.
All right, this day in sports history, 6:51 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Somebody says this, Eduardo Perez sounds like underwater Kenny Albert. Okay.
I didn't know underwater Kenny Albert sounded uneducated.
Syntax Hank says this morning. Good morning, fellas. My first job in high school was as an orderly at the nursing home where my mother was the head nurse. Talk about waiting on people. Taught me some humility.
Yeah,
Sure
absolutely.
it did. Something that happened yesterday, and when I heard this morning, I kind of thought, wow, I think I would have thought he was further along than this. But maybe this isn't fair. Aaron Judge last night got his 1,000th career hit. I think if you would have asked me, I would have said he had more than that, Jamie. But maybe because of injuries and some time that he's missed over his career, that's not necessarily fair. But I think generally speaking, I would have said, oh, yeah, he's already got 1,000 hits.
Yeah, I guess you just think of him more of as a home run hitter, not as a get on base a ton guy. So he takes a ton of walks. His on base percentage is really high. Mm-hmm. Takes a ton of walks and makes home run saving catches like last night.
Yeah,
to double off a runner at first, that was pretty awesome.
The 42nd Yankee to do this, and the first to do it again, a little bit of a surprise if you'd have said this to me. And maybe it's because of, free agency and guys moving in and out and all around. The first to do it since Brett Gardner did it in 2017. So 7 years since a Yankee's gotten his.
They haven't had a whole lot of good players over
Yes.
the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, they've tried. It just hasn't.
Well, they
necessarily-
always try.
Yeah, just hasn't necessarily worked out for them yet at this point. Astros lost in 10 innings last night. They now lead Seattle by 3.5 games. The Mariners are hanging in there. They're 67 and 65. I guess you could say that the Astros, after they were so good, they had a 10-game stretch. They're like 8-2, 9-1, et cetera, et cetera. Now the last 10 games, they're 5-5. And it's not like Seattle's been just playing lights out because they're 4-6, but they have won their last 2 games. And after they've replaced their manager, maybe they've kind of righted the ship a little bit. I read a report by Jeff Passan, and he did not go into it, and maybe he did in the interview that he was on the Seattle radio station that he was on, that there were some unfinished clubhouse issues inside the Mariner clubhouse that also led to Scott Service's dismissal. So in addition to kind of collapsing since they had their 10-game lead in June, that there was some unsettling stuff going on inside the clubhouse. So, and that kind of stuff always
comes
happens.
out.
Yeah, that always kind of happens. So it may not be totally fair, but they got the new voice and they feel like they still can make a run. And, well, you look at it kind of where we are here on the 27th of August, they're only 3.5 back. And Seattle and Houston, I do believe, play each other quite a bit down the stretch. So we'll see what happens as the Major League Baseball season winds down. Rangers and the White Sox tonight at 6:30.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I love game day in Lubbock, Texas. I can't wait for the Raider Walk. I can't wait to walk down into Jones Stadium. I can't wait. I just tweeted out, I can't wait for 60,000 of my closest friends to be here and celebrate the opening of the South End Zone, to celebrate the new sound system and everything that's going to be a part of our new game day. And it's an exciting time. I always say, never miss the first time anything happens. And I know we're under 500 tickets to sell out. I'm just telling you, it's worth the price of admission whenever you see the South End Zone, especially at night, and see what's going to be. And I'll tell you, we have a really good football team.
That's Joey McGuire from yesterday, and just kind of seeing just a little bit of the game day area and the kind of where the gathering's going to be, where the team will run through the crowd there in that lower club area to go out onto the field. It's really cool. There's a team locker room that's just a few steps away from that. And just they have the saddle in place. Remember the saddle that they had? They've got that same saddle. They'll touch that saddle, and they'll run out onto the field. And then looking up at the south end zone from the field, which is what I did yesterday afternoon. I mean, it's massive. I mean, it's just massive when you compare to kind of what it was previous.
The one thing that would have made this even cooler, this is impossible, okay, is if, because everything Coach McGuire there said there, I think, is accurate. But the one thing that would have made it cooler is that we've pretty much seen it, right? I mean, we've all seen videos and photos. It's like if it was a surprise, like, oh my goodness, yes,
right.
That would have been just like overwhelming for us, So they would have needed to have built a dome or something over the whole construction project to make it like a huge surprise.
So were you,
and not shown any videos.
No videos.
And everything was blacked out.
Yeah, and which wouldn't made sense because you want people to be getting excited and seeing the progress and all that kind of stuff. But that's the one thing that you kind of like. Okay, yeah, it's going to be really awesome, and I mean, especially Coach McGuire mentioned mentioned the seeing it at night. I think it looks way cooler, even more cool at night than it does during the day.
I have not seen it at night, so
I mean, you see the videos and the pictures. It looks really cool, and so there's that. And then I keep hearing people who work for tech talk about the sound system.
That was brought up
and
yesterday.
That may be the one thing that has kind of been overlooked just because it's so beautiful and so massive and all the above, that the sound system improvements are going to blow people away. And so I've in the past heard a ton of complaints about the sound system. So that's good news. The other part of his comments there is just like, what alternate universe are we living in when one of the first words out of a coach's mouth are, I just finished tweeting out. I mean, can you imagine Spike Dykes or Tom Landry coming into a press conference? I was just tweeting about such and such.
Right.
I think Coach Dykes would have been awesome on Twitter. I think he'd have been a great follow. I think he'd have been really fun. Coach Landry probably not
so much. No.
But
I mean, Spike had so many great sayings.
Yeah, I mean,
like those could be awesome in themselves.
Yeah.
But you need somebody that heard Spike to say it to repeat it.
He'd almost need somebody to follow him around and kind of be his scribe. Like Bullfighter could have been a great attaché for Spike Dykes.
Yeah.
But everybody kind of has their own Spike Dykes impression. Yeah. Like when they're quoting one of Spike's comments. Yeah. Brad Sham does it probably the best of anybody out there. But it's just that aw shucks mentality that it's hard to articulate on Twitter, but everybody who ever quotes it has that feel to it. That might be the only drawback, but yeah, that would be a follow worth doing.
I mean, just even go back a couple coaches, right, to Coach Kingsbury with his personality. You would have never heard him walk into a press conference. I just finished tweeting about something.
No, he would not.
He's a terrible follow. He doesn't say anything.
He would have. I'm not even sure he would have, because he's so focused on
I don't
those
even
first
know if
downs
he's
and
on
touchdowns.
Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd even noticed the south end zone. It's pretty cool, but we're worried about first downs and touchdowns here. It's probably what he would have commented on.
Can't be mad at him for that.
Yeah. The other thing, the suite level, that field level suite, I mean, they've got a bunch of TVs in there. So if you're down there, that's how you're going to view the game, because it's really hard. While it's really, really cool, it's going to be hard to see what's going on at the other end of the field, just because you're at field level. So you're staring right at that goalpost and the end zone. I mean, and when they're coming at you, I mean, that's going to be pretty cool when they're inside the red zone and they're coming right at you. I mean, it's going to be, because you're right there. I mean,
are they going to block that off where nobody can stand back there?
Well, I mean, there's windows and stuff like that.
But that's like where the bell has been in the past, and there's been other people that stand back there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what else going to all be back there.
I don't think I knew that there was going to be a field level suite.
Yeah, so it's like a common area, and it's massive. And then the suites themselves are the level above. The coaches are on the second level, and then there's the loge boxes, which look to be really cool for that end zone seating there. And then you kind of look up at the Double T scoreboard, and it's massive. And it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the field goal kicking going into the south end zone. If it helps because it's so high and so tall, does it become a wind block, or does it kind of swirl down there differently than it does at the other end? That will be interesting to me.
I bet it probably depends on the day and which way the wind's blowing and
all
which direction it's coming from. And
all those things. It'll be different than years past. Here is Coach Joey McGuire talking about Game 1, saying it's the hardest.
Game 1 is always, whenever people talk about the most improvement, and this is true, the most improvement happens between Game 1 and Game 2. Usually a lot of it is the unknown going into Game 1. We just got their depth chart, so I'm going to go through and see if we were right or wrong, and where different people are. I do think whenever it comes down to the play callers, you are who you are for the most part. Sometimes you have to adapt because of injuries. and stuff like that, but you are who you are. I mean, I'm expecting, maybe they'll jump into some 4 down, but I'm expecting a lot of odd front, defense, and whenever it comes from Coach Patterson, and then you're going to see a tempo offense. They've got some air raid qualities about them. Whenever you look at their offensive coordinator, and he was with Dana Holgorsen at one point at Houston and West Virginia, so you're going to see a lot of the stuff. That's one good thing, I think, defensively for us. The first 3 weeks, we're going to see a lot of similarities whenever you're talking about Abilene Christian, Washington State, North Texas. They're very similar in concepts that we're going to see.
7:23. That's Joey McGuire on that very first game. So that's one good thing. And then he said this about his team. He was asked about 3 keys to the season. This is where you're going to get quarterback.
Quarterback health. Really, quarterback health. We've spent a lot of time, in what we think, how we can keep the quarterback healthy. I think it's really important that Barron understands. I've been really impressed. Even in scrimmages where he knows he's not going to get hit, him throwing the ball away whenever he's supposed to, I think he has been the best I've ever seen him in pocket presence, stepping up instead of trying to escape to his right or to his left. I think that's really important. I think, we've talked about it. We have not done a good job of hitting the quarterback and causing turnovers. 2019, I was a part of a team that had 46 sacks and 31 turnovers. We need to get to that. If we get to that, then, we're going to have a special year.
7:24 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Joey McGuire, we'll get some more comments from him throughout the week. But next, it's Jamie's question of the day at 7:25.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, gentlemen, this is a Texas Tech football-related question, and I'm taking 2 answers off the board.
Okay.
I am taking health, and I am taking Baron Morton's arm strength off of the board.
All right.
What can we learn in a positive way from this Saturday's game against Abilene Christian? We've all talked about the only things you can really learn are negative.
Yeah. I want to see if you can put real pressure on the quarterback. And if you can, last year, because I was looking this up because I was thinking after hearing the quarterback sack, promotional announcement, they do this every year and have done it, I don't know, since for the last 20 years probably. And I've always felt like, hey, we're a touchdown scoring team. We should be doing something with touchdowns as opposed to sacks. But I think this year you have a real chance to have a sack number that could be substantial because they want to put pressure on the quarterback. He had 27 sacks last year. I think they're going to be north of that. But just because you put pressure on Abilene Christian doesn't mean you're going to put pressure on Oklahoma State. But this is a team that you should potentially dominate. So I want to see him put pressure on the quarterback, whether you're forcing hurries, forcing turnovers, or just sacking Maverick McIver back there.
Okay. It's kind of a parallel to Chuck's comments, although when you're facing a non-Power 5 team where the biggest difference is in depth. Everybody's starters can play. It's when you're needing when your second team goes out there and they're as good as their first team because of the depth that you have. That's really where you can dominate another team. I need the starters to go out and dominate. If you're up 14-0 after your second drive, that would show me a good sign that your offense is doing things that they should do and your defense is getting stops and that they can do that going forward. If you're, forcing 3 and outs on the first 3 drives for Abilene Christian. That would show me a lot on the defense that you can get some confidence in. It's not the end of the game when it's 48-17 or something that you're like, hey, cool, we really dominated them. It's when the ones and ones are out there against each other that you are imposing your will. If that happens, that would be something positive we would see.
All right. I'm going to say with me, I think something that we can learn from this game is, are we a disciplined team? Or whether it's pre-snap penalties or whether it's, penalties that come over the course of the game with defensive backs, not covering the right way and getting PIs or
holdings,
15s on, personal fouls or defensive holding, right? I thought Jeff was going somewhere that I really liked there with the whole, if your second unit is as good as their first unit, you can start to feel like, and you're not giving up a bunch of late points, that you can start to feel like, yeah, you're right. We do have some good depth on the defensive side of the ball or whatever. I think you answered your own deal. I mean, you can sack Abilene Christian 8 times on Saturday. I'm not going to feel like that. I'm not going to be certain you're going to be able to do that against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying. I mean, you asked.
Yeah, you said you wanted to see them. I absolutely want to see them as well. Do that. I'm just not going to be confident in that until you do it against a real team.
I mean, if you can't do it against them, then because there have been times when you've played these teams like Houston Baptist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Again, what was the question? What can you find out positive?
Yeah,
yes,
right.
Your point is valid. Mm-hmm. If you can't do it against them, then you're not going to do it against the big boys. That was the negative.
Right.
Okay. We were talking about what could you find out positive. I mean, I guess the point of all of this is that it's difficult to find out too much that's positive when you're playing against a team like this. I think somebody off the chat line had a great answer. Said, just the use of the tight ends. If we see them throwing to the tight ends more, maybe that means, and that's only still a maybe that means that there is, a priority to get the tight ends more involved in the passing game this year as actual receivers. So maybe that would be something. I thought that was a really good answer.
Yeah. And then somebody else says the first game versus ACU tells us a lot, like what Jeff said. If you can put this game away by halftime, be up like 35-0, and then not be sloppy in play or penalties. And you talked about the pre-snap penalties and even the penalties.
Yeah, the sloppiness, I think you can definitely, again, and there's, the fact that they have kept it close with Missouri and A&M is true.
And they brought that up yesterday. Coach either McGuire or DeRuiter did.
But those were different ACU teams.
Sure.
It's not this ACU team.
Yeah.
A second answer I would give to this would be coaching adjustments, because we think we know what ACU is going to do because of who their personnel are and who their play callers are, but we don't know because all of that has kind of changed a little bit for them. So if they come out and absolutely just shock you in the first couple of possessions on offense or defense for something you were not planning for and not expecting, can you adjust to it on the fly and not have to wait till you get into the halftime break to make the adjustment? That would be a positive, because we saw that a lot, that it took until halftime to fix a problem.
Yeah, that was more the Beard era. Okay. Yeah, that's true. If they showed you something, this is a hard game because you want to see a team. You want to see your team dominate and do all the right things, and then you come out of it going, yep, we did all those things great, and I don't know what to take away. I don't know if you can still count on that against the Big 12 teams or even the next week on the road at Washington State. I don't know if you can count on that or not. So it's just one of those difficult games that everybody plays, that or the first game of the season, hey, I'm really excited the way we did this. But does that mean we're going to do that against the better schools?
Yeah, or we gave a bunch of trash points up at the end that kind of makes the score look a little different than what it really was. Do you even worry about that?
Taj having 300 yards in the first half, that would show me a great sign that your offense is just absolutely clicking with Taj. Because that would be on like 7 carries. It's the only way that kind of thing would happen.
It would just be nothing but awesome if you could go out and score your first 4 offensive series and hold them to nothing and be up at the half, 28-0 or something along those lines.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
This Chuck makes me feel things, and they're not good. Okay.
What?
I don't know what that's about.
I didn't even know the song that you guys were referencing, so don't feel bad.
The Last Train to Clarksville with the Monkees?
Yeah, I don't know that one.
All right.
Maybe if I heard it, I would know.
Yeah, we played it a few times here.
If you heard it,
Okay.
It is a very well-known song. If you heard it, you'd be like, oh, it's that one. It's got a really good guitar riff at the beginning of it. By the way, with regards to that traffic jam that has been posted, Marcia Sharp Freeway, looks like it's backed up from the Q exit all the way back forever. 3 lanes of traffic all the way across. It looks like a parking lot, according to a picture off of Facebook. So
from where? From Q to?
I don't know. Looked like it was the Q, like the Q exit that we would take on our way in. So if you're on the Marcia Sharp Freeway and moving, get off. It is a parking lot coming soon to a theater near you.
Sounds like a bad accident. So
big bad accident.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. Maybe, hopefully, we can entertain you while you're just sitting there on the Marcia Sharp.
Good luck to everyone.
Yeah, good luck
It's
to
a
everyone.
bad deal.
It's a bad deal.
We can't even blame Chuck.
I'm sure somebody will blame me for something.
Man, I pulled across the street here pull into our parking lot this morning, and 2 cop cars whipped around behind me.
Oh, wow.
And I was wondering, okay, what's going on here? And so
They have their...
put my turn signal on, and no, not initially. Put my turn signal on and to pull into the parking lot.
compound here?
Yeah, and they stopped. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to keep acting like I didn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled into the parking lot and started parking. And then I realized there was a gentleman asleep on the lawn out there, and they were getting him awake off the lawn.
It's that rise and shine. Time to go to work.
Yeah, and at that point that I turned back, their lights were on. I think they didn't even have to get out of their car. They just turned the lights on, and it startled him enough to get up and
I was just leaving, officer.
move about his day.
Wow.
This is a bit of a bad wake-up call for that guy.
Right, no kidding. I didn't even see him.
I thought they were coming after me.
I was just before you, and I didn't even see the gentleman that you're
I didn't see him. I didn't notice him either.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody says it's backed up to the Tech Expressway. Okay. That's
Yeah.
quite a ways. Okay.
Good luck.
That's the collaboration we need. Someone call Elmo. Okay. All right. LOL. Chuck does make a lot of his song sound like a Sesame Street song. He just gave Jeff the letters of the day, U and F, just not in that order. Okay.
Your to-do's, they do sound like a little bit like a Sesame Street thing.
Okay. All right. Well, just trying to make everybody feel good about themselves by listening to me.
Well, yeah. One texter said that Chuck makes me feel things and they're not good.
I know, we just read that.
Like
yeah.
what? Like you want to
Right.
off somebody, or that you have a stomach ache?
Stomach ache.
Come through the radio and choke somebody? I mean, there's lots of things that it could be.
How about we hear from Joey McGuire? He was asked, what will make this season successful?
Yeah, us starting off the way we need to start off, I think will help us. I think, the one thing, if you ask our guys, I think we're focusing on 1-0, and I never want to get ahead of this week that's coming up. But if you just look at the first 7 games, 2 are on the road against 2 really good football teams. And so for us to, again, get to where we want to be, we've got to do a better job early on the road. But whenever I start looking at success of the season, it's a long way off, but we got to play meaningful games in November. And meaningful games to me in November are not becoming bowl eligible. I think that should be the bottom, your floor of this program, that you're bowl eligible every single year. It should be that you're playing meaningful games, meaning that you're going to be in the hunt for playing in the Big 12 championship, and I think that's really important. But it starts off, again, I know it's coach talk, but it really does. It starts off this week. It starts off being at home and putting some really good things together. It's going to be nowhere close to the team that what it's going to look like 3 weeks from now, or what it's going to look like 6 weeks from now. But we need to come out and establish who we are and start playing the way we want to play.
Yeah, he also said, he goes, we can't be 3-3 like we've been the last 2 years and do what we want to do. And then he also said later on, have to do a better job early on the road, have to do that to play those meaningful games in November. And so it kind of looks like, if you just want to kind of circle something and put a must win by it, then not to get ahead of Abilene Christian, but next week, that game at Washington State really is a must win game.
How is a road game in week 2 a must win game?
Because if you lose that game,
you can still go undefeated in Big 12 play.
You sure can, but I'm just going to tell you, big ol' asterisk by it, highlight it, exclamation point, must-win game next week.
Really, really want to get it. Really feel like we need to see them play better early in the season. Mm-hmm. Need to see them play better on the road this season if they're going to be in contention for a Big 12 title game appearance. Mm-hmm. All the above. I just don't know how you can call it a must-win.
Jeff, you with me on that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because you're going to tell me you run 10-0, you run 9-0 through the Big 12. It's not a successful season, and you're not playing in the Big 12 championship game. But right. You lost week 2.
I'm just telling you. I hear what you're saying. You're
would
exactly
we be pulling
right.
our hair out if we went 9-0 through the Big 12?
Yeah, right.
And lost to Washington State? Absolutely, we would.
Yeah.
I would take that right now, please. Can I sign? Where do I sign up? Where do I sign up?
Here, right
you
here.
Can give me 0-2, and we go 9-0 in the Big 12. Okay,
right.
A loss to Abilene Christian, Washington State,
right here.
9-0 in the Big 12. So
Yeah.
I'll sign right there, right now.
Okay.
Okay. Put me in a Big 12 championship game,
Sure,
and I'll have forgotten all about the first 2 weeks of the season.
We are. I'm just telling you. I just think it's a must-win game. I just think it's a must-win game. Going back to what he just said.
Do you ever you ever put yourself in the coach's shoes sometimes when the questions are asked?
Yeah.
I think to myself, man, how would I answer that question? I thought his answer was good about the playing meaningful games in November.
I did too.
I think it's okay for him to say, for us to be in contention for a Big 12 title game or whatever.
Right.
But it's hard to just, he has expectations just like us. I know every coach and player's like, we're going 12-0. We're
That's
okay.
the goal.
But there's also reality in there. Mm-hmm. And coach is probably thinking to himself, or that whole staff is like, man, I think we got a real chance to be 9-3, 10-2 here. We could surprise some people. Mm-hmm. They're not. I don't think they're sitting there going to themselves, going, yeah, we're going 12-0. Feel like, hey, we've got a chance in every game. We could have a 9-3, 10-2. So I thought his answer was really good. Like, hey, we really feel like we should be in contention for a Big 12 championship. Mm-hmm. We want to get better on the road. We want to get off to a better start. All that. I thought. That's kind of a tough question for a coach to answer, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I think his answer was good. I don't think I would have had as good of an answer as him.
Well, we don't make $3 million a year either.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's good answers. What comes with that.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.